All right, away we go. Picking up the first politician. Currently climbing a bridge. I'm a little kind of wondering why I'm going where I'm going to pick him up. I'm sure there's a story to this, unless maybe he has a new job I don't know anything about. But here I am, currently in the East End. I've always loved the East End. You know, Grandma lived here. We affectionately called her Nona. But the East End was part of my childhood. We grew up in here every Sunday afternoon, every Sunday morning visiting. Lots of history in this neck of the woods. But this is where our pickup is for our first politician in the car. And I just want to make sure I know how to get there. And I think I go this way. Well, there's the Slovak. We could, the food there is fantastic. So I am in the, he wanted me to pick him up here. And so here's the parking lot. So let's see, maybe that's him right over there. Just a sec. Oh yeah. Yeah, here he is. There's the man right there. There's our first guy. Did he bring notes? You're not supposed to bring notes. Come on in. Oh, hey, Shane.
Hi there. You must be the guy from U-Ride?
Yeah, it's me.
Now,
I'm a little late. You didn't expect me to be on time, did you?
Well, yeah.
10 minutes. How you doing?
Fine.
Nice
I
to
want
see
to know if it's going to be a flat rate or by the
No.
kilometer.
Hey, look, we got the company gas card. We're good. Buckle up for... Did you bring notes?
No, I didn't bring notes.
You brought notes.
Only because we have an itinerary. I don't want you to get lost.
We got GPS. All right.
But-
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
I bet you're wondering, why on earth are we meeting at
now,
the...
first, full disclosure, you and I used to work together.
Yep.
Like 20 years ago.
Maybe longer, but maybe 20.
No, 18.
Okay.
At CBC.
That's right.
And so that was a long time ago. And then I left there because I wanted to play music.
Because you had the best voice in radio.
Oh, please. Anyway, so I'm picking you up at the City of Thunder Bay Atlantic Avenue Water Pollution Control Plant. Is this your new job? Congratulations. I thought you were retired.
Well, I'm hoping to actually have some influence over what is done here. But I'm really here because of the history and the mystery. There's a great story about this that really influenced me a lot.
Okay.
About pushing for mayorship.
Okay, so now this is your second time around. So just so we can get a shot of the plant here.
Yeah.
This is your second time around. The first time you ran for mayor 4 years ago, this was sort of a big deal at that time.
Well, that's right. I want to talk about the history. In 2012, people may recall or may not, huge storm.
Yeah. Devastated this whole area.
This whole thing.
Yeah.
And what happened was it cost $60 million to repair.
Right.
The pumps were inundated with water.
Because it filled with water, and then the sewage, the raw sewage, ended up in everybody's houses here.
And the result of all of this informed my decision, my choice of my campaign slogan, which is "I will pay attention," because City Council did not pay attention.
Okay.
I'll tell you what happened.
Give me the story.
In 2012, when the plant went down, the city at that point in time was just going gangs afloat to get the event center going. $4 million project. City administration was wrapped up in it.
Sure.
And then this happened at the sewage treatment plant.
Right.
What happened was they let the insurance company do the repairs.
The repairs on the pumps.
On the pumps.
Okay.
It was a $60 million job. And what happened was, after the work was done, the insurance company turned around and told the city, we're only paying half. Yikes.
Wait, was that in what now? No, seriously, was that in the news? Did that make the news?
Oh, yes, you could.
Okay.
There was a news release put out.
Okay, so we're only paying half, so we're on the hook for I'm on the hook for the other half.
Slow down, because I got a bit more of a
Okay,
story
well,
here.
we'll go back over there, Shane. Don't worry, we got lots of time.
Go around in the circle.
Sure, we'll just keep driving.
So what happened was they left it to the insurance company because they were all wrapped up, in my view, in trying to get the event center going.
And I that whole time, especially just before the election, that whole time of the event center, it just felt like there was, 90% of the city knew we weren't getting the funding, and the other 10% were on council thinking that we were. And then we spent all that money in applications and processes for nothing.
Well, in the end, that turned out to be the case. But worse, our attention was diverted from
here,
this big project.
Right.
We left it to the insurance company. They did the work, had it all done, $60 million, turned around and said, we're only paying half. Wait, what?
But why? So what was the reason for that?
Well, I haven't seen the response of the insurance company, but I've seen the court filings by the city.
Oh.
What the city did was left the whole job to the insurance company and was caught aback when they discovered they're only going to pay half.
Well, I guess.
And the city launches a lawsuit,
right,
suing for $30 million, and admits in the court filings, you know what? We didn't hire anybody to watch the insurance company, so there's no real paper trail that we have.
How is that even possible?
It's in the law.
How do you know this, though?
I went to the courthouse. I was the only guy. None of the media went to the courthouse and got the application by the city in the lawsuit. And it says right in there, we don't have much of a paper trail, and they're going to have to throw ourselves on the mercy of the court. Here's the real fallout of it. We're suing the city. We're suing our insurance company, our own insurance company, for $30 million. Our accountants have said, you know what? The likelihood of winning that lawsuit are in doubt.
Right.
You're going to have to de-recognize $24 million of that. That means, in essence, write it off.
Where does that come from?
It's in the law. Well, it's actually in the city's financial papers, the 2016 financial statement. So we've written off $24 million. But the contractors got paid to repair this.
Everybody got paid.
Big mystery.
Yeah.
Where did we come up with $24 million if the insurance company didn't pay it off?
So what's your theory?
My theory is that we have put off other work that should be done. You know, we collect a sewer surcharge in Thunder Bay.
A big
it's 90% of our water bill.
Right.
I think that the money for the works that we would be doing, replacing sewers all over the city, had to be diverted to pay off the contractors, so there wouldn't be liens put against the building.
Well, that's the last thing we'd want.
Well, and it also spawned one other important thing.
Uh-oh.
You know, the stormwater stormwater management fee? You may not know about that. A lot of people
don't know. It's on my bill.
No, it's not here yet.
Oh.
But I will tell you, the city of Thunder Bay has hired consultants at $250,000 to look at satellite pictures of your roof on your home and your driveway, and doing a calculus will come up with a new fee that council has not spoken about before this election, between $4 and $15 a month on top of everything else. My view, they need that fee because the $24 million eventually needs to be paid for.
Somebody's got to pay.
And come up with the extra money to do the work.
So what you're suggesting, though, here is that first of all, there are still people recovering from that flood.
Let's get driving. I'll tell you about all of that.
Okay.
I've got another part of this.
Do you have any time for my questions, Shane? Or
Yeah, no. Okay. But you asked the question. What about the $300 million lawsuit that all the people in the East End here have launched as a class action against the city?
Where is that? I don't know where that is.
Well, I kind of know where it is.
Having said all of that,
yep.
Here we are in the lovely East End. There's just so much history here.
You bet. That's where it all started.
I was just saying, do you actually know the exact spot where it started? Can I show you that?
I have a rough idea.
Oh, you should know exactly where it is. Come on, Shane. But I was just saying that I spent a lot of my childhood here because, of course, my grandmother was here. My mom grew up in the East End. There's a lot of history here. And I remember when that flood happened, I brought my girls through here for them to see. And
Are you telling me it's the old Magnus Theater?
No, Magnus Theater's gone, Shane.
No, it used to be over here.
Yeah, that's not where the place. You don't know about the monument, do you?
Oh, yes, I know the monument.
Oh, okay. But there's just so much history here, and I remember driving through here after the flood, thinking, how are these poor people ever going to recover from this? And boy, did this community come together. Yep. Just watching how everybody worked together, and all of it, like St. Peter's Church full of food and water and all of the things that brought everybody together. It was really incredible. So I have a soft spot for the East End. This is the street I used to come every Sunday morning. Purity Bakery used to be there.
To be there.
The smell of bread.
Yes.
And the first thing in the morning, that was Nona's house back there, by the way. You didn't even wave. But this was part of my childhood, and thousands and thousands of people grew up here. So this was the hardest hit after that whole flood. And I think politics aside, I hope we did enough to help the people that were here. But
well, you know, the lawsuit's still active.
Right.
Mr. Zaitsev has transferred responsibility for the case to a Toronto lawyer. We don't know exactly where it all is, but what happens if the insurance company says, we're not paying, if they're successful?
It's going to go on for years.
This was the experience over the Atlantic Avenue plant.
You're right.
I'm really concerned.
Yeah.
This is the thing about the importance of paying attention.
Importance of paying attention, Shane. Did you know this monument was here?
Yes.
So this monument, do you know what it means? Don't read it. Do you know why it's there?
Oh, it's a national tablet. It's where this is the beginning of the rail heading west and meeting with the east.
No. This is the original site of Fort William Historical Park.
Well, yes, it is.
This is it, though, right here.
Yes.
The fort, if you were to take the fort and move it, it was here.
This is where it should be.
Well, it can't be here now.
It can't be here now.
But can you imagine? Like the history that's here right now. This monument, so many people don't even know that this monument is here.
We don't often reflect enough on the history of Thunder
Absolutely.
Bay. One of my, I was asked by another magazine, Walleye magazine, did a little thing.
Nice plug, Shane.
If you got $1 million just dropped on you as mayor, what would you do with it? I said, what I would do was create a foundation that would preserve heritage buildings in the city.
Now we have a heritage committee that does that already.
No, they don't. They actually, I can tell you this, I went to them with the idea of creating a foundation. They said, no thanks. Even though they're the advisory committee, they weren't ready to hear any advice about what they ought to advise council to do.
You're just
they
bitter,
rejected.
You're bitter.
No.
You're bitter. Okay, wait.
I have a memory.
But listen. Okay, let's just chill out for a second here.
You bet.
The mayor gets one vote.
Yeah.
The same as all the other councillors.
You bet.
Why take the mayor's route? Why not go at large or in your ward?
Oh, well, you're a communications guy.
Sort of.
How many at-large councillors are you going to drive around with?
None, because there's 27 of them.
Exactly.
There's too many.
Let's go over the Pacific Avenue.
We get the bridge. Well, it says do not enter, Shane. Like, enough. You know what? Let me handle the driving.
You are the you-ride guy.
Yeah, you handle the politicianing. So, but why wouldn't you? Why? Do you think your odds are less?
No. It's the bully pulpit. It's the ability to get media attention to make your case. I have a very specific case that I want to make.
Okay.
And in the first instance, when I ran last time, it was about running because city council, even though some mayoralty candidates said they were going to hold a plebiscite on the event center, they didn't do it.
Right.
So I wanted, in the first instance, to give people a chance. Let me finish.
Yeah.
I would be their plebiscite.
Right.
So you spend $4,000 on signs saying "Vote Shane Judge for mayor."
Right.
You're kind of locked in.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm enough of a cheap Irishman to say, why would I run at large with a couple hundred signs saying "Run for Shane Judge and mayor"?
Right.
It makes no sense.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, I've spent the last 4 years prepping for this run.
Okay, now let's go back 4 years. A lot of people would say that in the mayor's race, you were the spoiler. You split the vote. About 9,000 you got?
9,500.
Oh, sorry.
My friends tell me Kenny Boschkoff split the vote because he was on both sides of the event center.
Okay.
And
well, let's not relive that entire campaign again.
You wanted to relive
All
it.
I'm saying is that you got a good chunk of the vote last time. So
that's my base.
How confident are you? You say you have a base now. So, but how confident are you going into this one?
I'm really confident. I think that there is an appetite. And I know that because I've knocked on 10,000 doors in Thunder Bay.
Come on.
10,000.
Come on, Shane.
10,000 doors I've knocked on. I've been going since the beginning of July.
Wow.
And I will tell you that people are fed up with the high taxes and the bad roads. They want change.
As we hit one of the worst roads in the city.
We're going to hit Balmoral, and we can talk about that then.
That is all. Don't even get me started.
But right now we're headed over to Port Arthur Stadium.
Yeah, we're almost there. But let's keep talking about this campaign now. So
you bet.
You're going 10,000 doors. I always want to ask people that are going to doors. How many people open the door and say, "I want nothing to do with you"?
1 in 100.
Come on.
1 in 100.
Come on, Shane.
Yep. No, honestly, 1 in 100.
Wow. Do you get nervous knocking?
No, actually, believe it or not, John, I'm an introvert.
That's a part of being in radio.
Well, you have to push past that.
Yeah.
It's big crowds that...
what about the rejection?
You can do it. Well, you just go, there's got to be a reason for that. And you'd like to know the answer, but often, sorry, I'm not buying, or get off my doorstep.
Yeah, and who are you? What election?
No, not what election. I actually have pretty high recognition. Oh, I know you, Mr. Judge. I've read your letters to the...
How many people are challenging you at the door?
Challenging? No.
Pushing back a little?
No, not many, because I tell you, if I get 30 seconds with people, they go, you're right, Mr. Judge. Our roads are terrible, our taxes are high, and that's why we've had very little outside investment in the community. I'm buying your position.
But Shane, that's where I'm going to challenge you here a little bit, because it's part of this process. You're still only one vote around that table. So, yeah, my taxes are way too high. And don't even get me started on the roads, because I take the worst roads to work every single morning.
That's why I drive a truck.
But that's why I drive a truck.
You bet.
But what can you do, though? What can you, one guy, Shane Judge, do that's going to make a difference?
Well, my platform is pretty clear.
But you only have one vote, so yes. You got to get these people together.
Well, the fact of the matter is, everybody says, and everybody in their campaign literature says, I'm believe in fiscal responsibility. I want the city to manage its money well.
Okay.
They also agree taxes are too high.
Right.
I am the one guy who's being very specific about how I'm going to fix that. I'm the one guy who's offered an alternative that people can follow. That is, reduce the size of council, get rid of the ward system. That's how we're going to start to save money.
I agree with that, and I don't have a lot of fans for agreeing with that. I do think that the size of council is too large for our city, but I still have, and I don't mean this in a bad way towards our ward councillors, but it's just, I look at I'm a numbers guy.
Yeah.
If you only got a couple thousand votes to get you around the council table,
yeah,
you have just as much responsibility as somebody who got 25,000 votes.
There's a lot of resentment of that in various parts of the city. How can somebody from Westfort, for example, with 1,700 votes, get to lead the charge for a $100 million event center?
Yeah.
Everybody should get to vote for everybody on council.
I agree with that.
Here's the point that's changed. You may not know about this rule change. You no longer have to live in the ward.
I know, and that makes me crazy.
That undermines the whole premise.
Completely undermines the whole thing. And there are obviously people running in this election that don't live in the wards that they want to represent.
Well, there's another thing as well. You have to think, 50 years ago it made sense when Neven McIntyre joined, and there was a lot of horse trading.
Right.
But now we have master plans for just about everything.
That's right.
So the master plan applies to the whole city, and it's just a matter of getting the money to implement the master plan.
Right.
The horse trading has largely disappeared.
Yeah.
So the ward system's expensive to operate. I have got a better system. You want to hear it?
Oh, gosh.
Here it is. A homeowner's bill of rights.
A what?
You know the ombudsman role of a councillor. You got a problem with the city, you call him up and say, hey, ward councillor, I've got an issue.
Right.
Here's my alternative.
Okay.
The homeowner's bill of rights. For example, you want to get a building permit.
Right.
2 weeks to get it. If you don't get the building permit under my new rules, the civil servant has to write you a letter explaining why. A copy of that letter goes to that person's boss. Every interaction that the public now has with the city.
That sounds like a lot. That sounds like a lot of work.
What do you think the bureaucrats do but handle paper? It's exactly what they do. But now there's a mechanism that records the interaction, and it goes all the way up to the city manager. Remember the title, manager. Now we will have an objective way to determine whether the manager's actually managing.
Makes sense.
So that's my alternative.
Okay,
a lot cheaper.
Okay. Let's get back to city administration in a second. So there's a reason now I'm hanging a left here,
yes,
and looking at the mighty Port Arthur Stadium. Which way would you like to go, sir?
Right there, and just turn and stop.
Well, I can't turn and stop, Shane. It's an intersection.
I'll get through the intersection.
I got logos on the car.
But you look right there, there used to be a sign. Do you remember right in front of us?
There was an electronic billboard.
I'm going to talk a little bit about that.
Oh, gosh.
And the Border Cats. It's a fantastic story.
Okay.
So pull over here.
Well, just a second now. You can't, Shane, just because we we have a logoed car. We don't get to stop wherever we want. How about I go over here and turn around?
Or put on the lights.
Can't we just... I'm not putting on the blinkers to draw. I got enough attention on this vehicle already.
There you go.
All right. So,
okay, there's another mystery here. So, that sign, that electronic billboard that's now missing, there is a question about why is it missing now? Why isn't it still there?
Whose sign was it?
Do you know whose sign it was? I do.
Are you going to get yourself into trouble by disclosing this? Because these are just your opinions. I'm just driving.
It's not an opinion.
Okay.
I found out through Freedom of Information whose sign it was.
You filled out Freedom of Information to get this.
Because I asked first, and they said, we're not telling you. And then I said...
Who did you ask?
City Hall. I asked the person in charge of Port Arthur Stadium.
You called up and said, yo, hey, where's the cool electronic sign on the corner? And they said, I'm not telling you?
Yeah. I was having dinner over at Boston Pizza, and I looked, I said, what's that sign doing there? It's on city property.
Right.
And it was advertising, just advertising.
Yeah.
So I called them up and I said, what's that sign all about? Oh, we can't tell you. So through a long process of freedom of information, I find out that the person who owns the sign is Brad Jorgensen, the former owner of the Border Cats.
The opinions expressed herein are just yours. Okay, go on.
No.
Okay, so
I wrote a letter about this to the editor.
We're going to park on the other side.
Sure.
Okay.
And so what happened was, and the real issue for me is not that Brad Jorgensen got the sign.
The sign was privately owned.
It was privately owned on city property, and there was no mechanism to
But it does have its own hydrometer.
Yes, it does. There were no competitive bids. Brad Jorgensen just got it.
Oh.
And you know why?
No.
I have a theory.
Okay, this is just a theory.
Yes, but it's
just your opinion.
It's in the records. It's in the records that I received from the city.
All right.
Brad Jorgensen owed the city $30,000.
Okay.
He hadn't paid the rent on the place.
Right.
So the city says, maybe this is a way for us to get our money back. Let this guy who's now become a different kind of entrepreneur put up a sign, sell advertising, and we'll get our money back. Well, maybe that's not unreasonable, but he got it without any competitive bids, which is my big issue. Because at Pattison, one of the big West Coast advertising firms, would have paid a fortune. He got it for much less than a fortune.
High traffic area, yeah.
So the real question now, only remaining, is why is the sign gone?
Right.
The city did answer my question. The lease is expired. Oh, did it expire because he didn't pay the rent on the lease, or why? I don't have an answer to that. But the sign is gone, and no longer are we making money
off the sign.
Off the sign that's no longer there.
Right.
And did we ever get the $30,000 back?
But you know.
I don't know.
Oh.
Nobody's telling me. So another mystery. Lots of issues about finance.
Okay, so let's go back. Now let's go. I'm just going to back up here. We've got a backup camera. We're good.
Where's next on our list?
Oh, geez, your itinerary.
Yes.
When is it my turn, Shane?
No.
I have questions.
We're going to T-Baytel headquarters.
Okay, I know where that
Balmoral
is.
Avenue.
I got it from here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you seem to be spending a lot of time. Well, you've got plenty of time.
Well, it was 4 years ago. This was done over the course of 4 years. This was when I.
Has anybody told you that maybe a hobby would be better for your heart?
Oh, well, listen.
Because you're getting all fired up. But listen, you've been spending your time digging into this.
Yes. Well, I was an investigative reporter for 30 years.
That was your job.
My undergraduate degree was in freedom of information. My thesis was on freedom of information.
So this is what you did.
This is what I do. I find it fascinating.
Well, that's cool. But listen, help me understand now.
Yep.
You're finding all of these, and I don't want to call them
anomalies.
Sure, not wrongdoings, but there's different things that 500 words or less.
Yeah.
Why hasn't anybody else brought any of these up yet? Why are you the only one doing that?
Oh, well, I have to tell you that since I left reporting, I think that Thunder Bay Media has gone downhill.
Is that so?
Yes. When I first started at CBC Radio, there were 22 people there.
Is this a plug for CBC now?
No, because there are only 8 now.
Okay.
The Chronicle Journal, at one point in time, had no reporters in Thunder Bay. I can remember calling up Colin Bruce, the former publisher, and ask him, I heard on the street that you don't have any reporters in Thunder Bay. You got one in Marathon and one in Dryden. What's up with that with the Thunder Bay newspaper?
So you're saying that the coverage of all of this, because there's no investigative journalists left, the coverage is why this stuff is just getting swept under the rug, and
it's not swept under the rug. It's nobody's paying attention. everybody is just letting it go by. I'm afraid that,
but Shane,
that police
second.
news release journalism has become the journalism of the community.
Well, unfortunately, that is the way of the world, and without getting into a media debate, budgets are tight. Media, it's not cheap. And,
John,
if you go back to your time at CBC when there was all those people working
flush.
So, those days are gone for all local media, and which now has kind of created this new online world of pretend media that at the same time, though, media organizations locally can only do so much with what they're given.
That's right.
Because the time and the resources required to do the digging that you're suggesting
so
is
I'm just
not
helping them out, John. This is the kind of stuff that I do. I have given various media outlets many story tips over the last 4 years.
Okay.
Check this out, check this out, check this out. And some of them, they've bothered to take the time, but many times they just don't have the horsepower to do it. But I'm an investigator.
Hey, why don't you start one of those Facebook pages with news stories?
Well, if I don't become mayor, maybe I'm going to do that.
Why not?
You want to go into business with me?
Nah,
you ride and I'll drive.
I'll drive you to all the places, and you just type your stories. That'll be fun. All right, so we're coming.
Balmoral.
Balmoral. This is
one of the worst roads in the city,
and
they put it off to 2020.
Hey, remember that time it was going to get fixed? Remember last year?
Now they put it off till 2020.
But the good thing though, Shane, we have that nice artificial grass along the side up there.
Well,
it's nice. It looks fantastic in the spring.
Fantastic. I was impressed that all they had to do was put a couple more nails in it, and it was back to new after the plow got through.
I used to have carpet like that in my living room in the 70s. Anyway, so we're pulling up now to T-Baytel. Now, be nice to T-Baytel because there's a lot of hard-working people.
I'm ready to bow down to T-Baytel.
Oh, okay, good.
T-Baytel is the reason why Thunder Bay has a AA credit rating. Thunder Bay Telephone generates over $190 million in revenue every single year for Thunder Bay.
That's a lot of money.
Here's the thing. T-Baytel gives us, the city, a $17 million dividend every single year.
Free money.
Free money. Here's my concern.
Okay.
What do we do with the $17 million?
Well, I don't know, but I'm sure that you're going to tell me.
We spend it.
On what?
On
roads? Oh, you can't.
I'm going to show you,
That's
folks.
upside down, Shane.
Can you see the red line in there?
What's
folks?
the red line mean?
See the red line?
What does the red line mean?
The red line.
Nobody else in the car is going to bring props. I can tell you right now. I know.
The red line is what we spend per person running our city hall. The little short line just to the side of it, that's the provincial average. We spend $224 per person in Thunder Bay running our city hall. The average in Ontario is $115.
Whoa.
So that $17 million from T-Baytel is spent every year. My proposal is let's save it. Let's save that money. Let's invest it.
So you want to cut jobs?
I'm going to talk about that.
You want less people to work? Because you're not talking about cutting them here.
No.
Because to be honest with you, and I'm not just saying this, I don't think this is a fine oiled machine, T-Baytel. And I know there's everybody's got problems. Oh, my data doesn't work, but they work hard. And when you consider how far they've come to the time of technical troubles and whatever else, they're doing it right now. They're doing their best.
I'm not ready to cut parts of the cow off because that's where we get the milk, baby.
Yep.
But listen, that little red line,
the
red line, that suggests to me that there's quite a bit of City Hall that might be redundant.
Okay.
When I want to look at...
now listen, just a second.
Yeah.
You know that saying that the people working in City Hall now that just kind of went, are also your potential voters.
Well, that's why nobody on City Council... that's why nobody on City Council for the last 8 years has said boo about making the city more efficient because they know. We get the $17 million from T-Baytel. Right. We get $2.5 million from the casino every single year. And over the last 8 years, we have not, even with all that free cash, been able to bring in a budget below the rate of inflation.
I've always wondered about that.
And nobody on City Council has ever said, maybe we ought to look at the organization inside to trim it.
So why do you
Here's where I want to go. Here's where I want to go with rationalizing the organization.
Right.
I am not proposing to lay off anybody.
Okay, so how are you going to cut
retirements and people leaving? Here's where I want to start. Why do we have separate human resources departments for the city, Thunder Bay Hydro, T-Baytel, and the Social Services Administration?
Should be all one, you're suggesting?
That's what I'm suggesting. You can do it over time. One HR for all.
HR people are experts, though, Shane. They are experts in their field, in their businesses.
Well,
so what does the HR guy know about the HR of a technician?
You don't need that size of bureaucracy for. I know, for example, that and I got this from the chair of the Social Services Administration Board,
right?
Who I sauna with at Lakehead University from time to time.
Too much information. That's like
he tells me that the Social Services Board approached the city several years ago and said, you know what? Why don't we think about combining our back office operations? We can save money, both of us. No response back from the city.
So what are you suggesting is the reason for that?
You're going the wrong way, my friend.
Well, I had to turn right. It's a right turn only. Where am I going next?
We're going out to the former municipal golf course. So turn around.
Good Lord! What do you think? I got all day?
Almost.
I'll hit the highway.
Yeah. So,
all right.
So
good Lord.
There is actually an appetite among some of the organizations to rationalize service, make them more efficient.
Right.
And that's where I want to go.
Okay.
I want to do that, and with the IT empires, everybody's got a computer guru and probably a computer manager. I need to drill down into that a little more, but I definitely think that you can be much more efficient on all the back office operations of the city. It actually, when you think about it, could be a job creation.
That's true.
Opportunity. What if you started selling human resources services to surrounding municipalities,
right.
IT services to surrounding municipalities? All of a sudden, you're generating jobs and new income.
Right.
Not all cuts, John. Lots of opportunity.
Okay, but you're still only one guy. What if the rest of council, Shane says,
we like 13 councillors. We don't want to get rid of the ward system,
and we think you're crazy, and we're not going to back you in any of this. Then what happens?
Well, then it's interesting. I'm going to say, if I beat Frank Puglia, Bill Morrow, Ian Angus, all long-time politicians, I think that I have then a mandate, and I will argue that I beat these long-term politicians as an outsider with a mandate to do something very specific. Please follow me. We'll hold a formal vote. If they don't follow me, well then, after being really nice, I will put to them, listen, there's going to be an election coming in 4 years. People will remember that you rejected my mandate.
Right.
And I plan to be a 2-term mayor.
Okay.
I am going to say...
You're very confident.
I'm going to be running against you in the next election, pointing out to the people that you rejected my mandate.
So, okay. So tell me that, because you're making my head spin. So, how many people do you think around the council table right now, with the exception of the ones that are moving to at large or running for the mayor's chair?
Yeah.
How many returnees do you think there'll be? Do you think it's going to be a clean slate?
I have to tell you the reaction at the doorway.
What's that? 10,000 doors. What are they saying?
Get the broom out.
Really?
Get the broom out.
Now, you've been here a long time.
Yep.
You remember the last time we got the broom out?
Yeah, but you have to remember that the broom often doesn't work. The bristles are too short.
That should have been on a campaign sign.
What happens in Thunder Bay is a name recognition community. I will tell you that
well, that's because the voting public is an older demographic and they vote for people they know.
That's right. And also, a lot of people, I have to tell you, there's an election coming?
Right.
Oh. I better study this.
Right.
There are a lot of people that municipal politics just doesn't ring their bell. It's not part of their universe, and they don't care about it. But
yet they're the first to complain on social media.
That might be, but 50% turnout is what we've had to date.
48.5.
Yeah, it's only half the people vote. Lots of people don't care about it. I think this time might be a little bit different because of the electronic voting, and also because people are finally turning the corner on taxes. They've had it.
I've never, I pay my tax bill. Sometimes I want to dig into it a little more, but oftentimes I don't because I know it'll stress me out.
Well, people do tell me they're not worried about paying their taxes, but they're worried about how it's spent.
Are you actually going to make me drive all the way to municipal?
Yeah, this really
We're running out of time.
Oh, are
Do we have enough time? Can we not just talk about it? Because I want to take you one more place.
Okay. Well,
that's not on your itinerary because
I want to go,
you're the only one that gave me an itinerary.
We
don't have to go and look at trees. We can talk about municipal here.
All right, we can talk about municipal, and then so we just go to the next and
I'm going to turn left. Yeah, I got an idea. Yeah.
All right. So municipal golf course. I'm the guy.
You brought this up a long time ago. This was your big thing 4 years ago.
Well, yeah, I did when they sold the municipal golf course. Nobody ever saw the other bids for the municipal golf course, and I went and I called City Hall. Hey, can I see what the competing bids? This was a request for proposals.
Right.
And people made proposals and offered money. Some wanted a golf course.
Right.
But the city refused to release the information. They just flat out said, no, you can't have it.
Is that because it's none of your business?
Of course it's my business. It's a municipal golf course. So that took a big, long fight that took half a year. And finally, the Information Commissioner for Ontario ordered the city to release the documents to me. They were very revealing.
Were you the only... Wait.
No other reporter in town did the story.
Yeah, okay. But you're the only one that has these documents. Have you shared them? Have you discussed them?
I've written a letter to the editor explaining all. There were people... The proposal was from Bruno's Contracting. We'll pay you $650,000 and we're going to build a golf resort. So it was a proposal.
Right.
And city said, we love that proposal. They had a third party do an evaluation of the value of the property, and they came up with the figure, another golf course somewhere sold for $650,000 ballpark. So we'll sell this one to you for $650,000, even though other people were ready to bid $1 million for it. So what happened was the city chose Bruno's and sold it. But the big question is, well, what happened to the golf resort you promised? You won based on the promise of building a golf resort. This is either, I'm not quite sure what it is, but I've got the purchase and sale agreement as well. And it says nothing about a golf resort.
So where was that in the whole proposal of it all?
Well, it was in the proposal, but when it came to the final purchase and sale, the city did not insist that I would have, if I was the mayor, insisted, okay, you got 5 years. If you don't build it, you sell it back to the city for the price you bought it.
Fair.
It's not there. It sits there as a hayfield.
Well, you
not being used.
Somebody can make money out of hay, though.
Yeah. Well, what are we going to do with it?
For horses.
In my view, you never give up a parcel of land like that. In 100 years, that will be incredibly valuable to the municipality.
True. I'll give you that.
It's a legacy for the community. You don't sell it off. If this was the simple way for the city to just close a golf course, just close it.
Yeah.
Or rent it to somebody.
And sit on it for a while, right?
Or rent it to a third party to run as a golf course if they think they can make. So at least you're making a little money.
Right.
But I think it was terrible that it was sold and no requirement made that you actually build what you promised you were going to build.
So again, this is now the third suggestion that you've had, that is, there is stuff you're suggesting that there are things that you as the mayor would make sure are in the forefront.
This is where, as I said, freedom of information is one of my central tenets. So
your best friend apparently in this campaign.
That's right. I would be coming before we went in camera. I would be telling the public, we're going behind closed doors because somebody's trying to sue us, and we have to figure out what to do.
Right.
This council doesn't do that. They talk about these vague terms, litigation, this and that, and you have no clue why they're going behind closed doors.
Right.
I would also, once the matter is resolved, have a report written. This is what happened. I would have, for example, in the sale of municipal golf course, when council made the decision behind closed doors to sell, I would come out and I would tell everybody what happened. Here's why we decided.
Yeah, but there's a reason it's behind closed doors, because you can't tell everybody.
No. Once it's done.
Oh, okay.
Then you come out and tell. But why does Shane Judge have to spend his days fighting with the city over getting that information?
I wonder that before you got the job.
Well, people, I mean, it's just stuff that's plain as the face on your nose. Maybe it's because I pay attention.
True. Okay, I brought you here on purpose.
Excellent.
Do you know why I brought you here?
Roundabout.
Oh, man. Okay, so, You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Well, I think that with that sigh, you're questioning the ability of Thunder Bay 8 drivers to be able to...
No, see, now Shane, you're just going to irritate me. That's not what I was... That's not the reason.
You're saying this is the future.
No.
What are you saying?
Now, let me make this clear. I grew up a block from here all my life. Yeah. The other half of my life, I lived a block the other way. This is my neighborhood.
When you weren't in the East End?
I never was in the East End. My grandma was in the East End, and my mother.
I see.
I visited the East End. So, just look at this traffic right now.
Yeah.
Okay? If you come down here at 3 o'clock on a Monday to Friday afternoon...
Yes.
There's double the traffic.
Yes.
About 3:30, the school buses start.
Yeah.
It has absolutely nothing to do with Thunder Bay drivers. It has everything to do with
the amount of space available.
Now, there are people smarter than you and I that are engineers that figure this stuff out.
Yep.
I'm assuming that this parking lot is going to have something to do with it. But if you look at the plans, the road gets very crooked. It gets kind of out of place. This entire intersection needs to be redone. Of all the places to test this, why here?
At such a big cost.
At a big cost.
You want to do it somewhere less expensive.
All we're doing it for is to save some traffic lights, Shane. That's all we're doing it for. Nobody can give me a straight answer as to the benefits of the traffic flow on Edward Street. It's going to have nothing to do with that. Are the light bulbs too expensive now and the traffic lights? I don't get it. And tell me, when all of these houses around here, thousands of them, have their kids on these school buses that have to then swing around this thing and find their exit and then worry about the traffic coming in. If it isn't broken, don't fix it. And to me, this intersection has been in shambles for years. Just look at the stuff that's there.
It's deteriorating.
Like the curbs, and I understand that this was scheduled for repair. But these kinds of initiatives, don't you think, if you're the mayor, would you not go to the neighborhood and say, hey, what do you think?
Yes, I would. I have to tell you that I am a fan of roundabouts.
The one at the Marina is fantastic.
Well, there you go. Driving in Northern Ireland or driving in Kenora.
Kenora has one.
Works like a charm.
Yeah,
in a fairly constricted space, I have to say.
But I just don't understand why we're going to make such an aggressive change to a neighborhood. Now we'll go to the driver's part, and I mean this. I'm not being funny when I say this. This is an older neighborhood now, right? For those of us who've lived here all of our life, going through this I go through this intersection 6 times a day.
Yeah.
So you're going to change things a lot, and you're doing it in an area that maybe is not the most progressive. Part 2 of that.
Yep.
Notice that we've been sitting here for 5 minutes, and there's probably been a dozen people that have either crossed the street or rode their bikes across or otherwise. We're going to hand out pamphlets. We're going to teach everybody. Come on. Crossing a roundabout on a bike or as a pedestrian to get to the pharmacy, and you're a senior and you're going to go get your pills, or you're going to the dentist, or you're coming to the store and you're crossing. There is no way for people to get across.
You have sold me, John. Roundabouts, from my experience, are always in places where you do not have pedestrian traffic.
This is a major thoroughfare to a major artery in our active lifestyle walkways. The routes, right? The paths all start here at Chapels.
See, John, you get as spun up as I do. You just pick.
I should run for mayor.
You just pick your points. I've picked my points.
But
you've made a great argument.
Okay, so when you're mayor, will you stop it?
Will I stop?
Well, work on it.
We're going to work on it. We're going to study it a lot harder than we have.
Well, because how are people going to cross? That's my thing.
It's pedestrians you're worried about.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of pedestrians around here.
Maybe we can take the overpass from the Prince Arthur Hotel over to the Marina and move it here.
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
It's a terrible idea. A terrible idea. All right.
We're going to City Hall.
Oh, God. Are you sure?
Yeah.
We're not going in.
No, we're just driving by.
With my luck, you'll take me inside to file some kind of complaint or something.
Actually, we don't have to go to City Hall. You know where I want to go instead? Right near City Hall.
For coffee? No?
No.
Okay, no.
We're going to go to Victoria Avenue. To the old CIBC building. It's just a facade is left.
I know it well, yeah.
And we can talk about the mirror of the past and the portal to the future. Isn't that great? Wow.
How long did it take you to write?
I just came up with that.
You did not. That's probably on your brochure.
No, it actually isn't.
Okay, good. Well, this has been great because I'm learning things.
Well, so as I said, I paid attention. I grew up here, and I've been a journalist in my head since grade 9. When an English teacher
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Hillcrest.
Ah.
I could tell you about my view of they should have kept Hillcrest open. They should not have built Superior. Should have saved the $40 million. And 5 years later, they could have closed down Hillcrest and moved everybody to Hammersmith.
You're not running for
no, but we're out $40 million. Building Superior High School that we could have saved. That we could have built Balmoral.
It's a nice school. It's a nice school, though.
It's a nice school.
It's a beautiful school.
Well, here's the big picture as we head towards City Hall. And
look at the leaves changing on the mountain, Shane. Isn't that nice?
No, here's the big picture
nice.
That is the perspective. People say, Shane, you're Mr. Gloom and Doom. My God.
Well, you know what? You are depressing me a little.
We can't stand it. I am trying to be realistic. You remember we used to have 10 high schools in Thunder Bay. I
used to play football against 9 of them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now we have 5 high schools, maybe soon to be 4 high schools. The province said, we're not paying for all those empty spaces.
Right.
And so you're going to have to close. We're going to squeeze your budget. And school board complied. They closed 5 high schools and more than a dozen elementary schools because our population is shrinking.
Right.
On the municipal side, remember we used to have 4 pulp and paper mills? Ontario's largest sawmill in Northern Wood Preservers, plus number 3, maybe Great West Timber.
But the world is changing, Shane. It's not just a Thunder Bay issue.
No, listen, that's not the point.
Okay.
The point is the world has changed, but has City Council changed? In my view, the red line, John, red line, John, suggests that they're spending like it's 1972 and not 2018.
You got a good point there. Sorry about the bumpy road. We're on Victoria right now. It is like if you just look at the camera. Look at the camera.
Yeah, oh yes.
Look at that is great.
God.
Hey, but look at the bike lane is completely jammed with not a soul, not one person.
Well, I can talk about bike lanes in a bit, but the big picture is our city has changed dramatically. Our population has shrunk. Our tax base, we've lost 150 million of the industrial tax base. In industry and commercial, used to pay 60% of the total tax bill. You and me at our homes, 40%. That's flipped.
Right.
We pay 60%, now industrial, 40%. And the commercial are constantly appealing their taxes, and we know that the big box stores are getting big discounts. We owe $10 million to Resolute because they've had their assessment. Yes.
Is that another Freedom of Information thing?
No, I think that was right at the city. You may not recall it, but we have to.
Well, that's because it's all doom and gloom, Shane.
Well, listen, it's reality, and the hard fact is we've got to address it.
Okay, so you're the guy that's going to do it. You're the guy that's going to lead the charge.
I'm the one guy, if you read everybody's platform, that's actually saying what's got to be done.
Hey, let me ask you this question, just a little off topic. What do you think about this green paint right here?
Well, we'll talk about bike lanes.
Look at that
I believe bikes
That's expensive paint. Now, the guys that painted this, by the way, spectacular job.
It does look pretty.
It is.
It looks very Irish. I think the parade on St. Paddy's should start right here.
Yeah. It's a nice green.
My view of the matter is,
it.
I think we need bike lanes separated from vehicles. I think we need many more of them. I believe that an alternate active transportation system is the way to go. It should be a priority for the city.
Sure.
It's the right size and scale for what you want to invest.
As
opposed to the art gallery. Can you imagine if we had $40 million more of bike paths in Thunder Bay, how wonderful it would be?
Wait a second. See, and this is where now I'm glad that I have a politician.
Yeah.
This is where now I'm not the best financial guy.
Yeah.
I'm cheap, and B, I'm broke.
Welcome to the club.
But if somebody said to me, here's a pot of $25 million, $30 million to build the art gallery, I think the art gallery needs a new place. I think they've been underserved by the city for a long time. That's just my first point. Point 2, though, is if somebody was to say to me at my house, hey, John, here's $100,000 for you to use in your house, and let's pretend my house in this scenario is the city. Yep. You have $100,000 to use in your house. What are you going to do with it? Well, 25-year-old John would have said, I need a new TV, and I'd like a really nice surround system, and a hot tub would be nice. Adult John...
And the tarpaulin to kind of keep the water away from them.
And perhaps an in-ground pool. The adult John with 2 kids, one in university, one in grade school, wife that works full time, says, you know what, I need a new roof, and I think what I'm going to do is fix my driveway before somebody breaks their neck on it, and my yard is kind of lumpy, and I'd like to get some fill. That's what I would do.
Yes.
Sometimes I think we look at shiny things and go, wow, we should get one of those.
Exactly.
And then we drop money, and in the meantime, I'm going over a section of road that has been patched here 4 times.
Yes, John, I think you and I are closer in mind.
Oh, let's go easy. I'm not
ready to admit.
And no, I'm not running your campaign, and I haven't decided who I'm voting for. Okay.
Well, here's the thing about the art gallery. I wrote 2 years ago a letter to the editor of the Chronicle Journal, another plug for another media outlet. I said...
You've plugged every other media outlet except for ours. Do you remember where you... Never mind.
Listen, I'm a big fan.
Okay.
So the thing of it is, the art gallery could have gone into the Eaton's building.
I agree with that. I think it would have been perfect for the art gallery.
For a fraction of the price. The problem with the art gallery is it's built on soil that is contaminated. And it's on the wrong side of the tracks. And while some people might like to consider that part of the downtown North Core, in my view, it's not. It's a completely separate area.
It's part of the waterfront.
Difficult to get to, no parking.
Oh, really? Come on with the parking. Come on.
It's one of the things. One of the things.
You're one of those guys?
No.
You're one of those guys that has to park next to the door of every place you go.
I'm a practical guy. So you're going to go down here and
I know where I'm going,
okay,
Shane.
Attaboy.
Good grief.
I forgot you're you, right?
I'm not you, right. I'm John Wright.
John Wright.
Okay, so
we're going to hang a left on Victoria Avenue.
Victoria Avenue.
Yes, sir.
Now, I remember being a kid, Shane.
Yes.
And coming down Victoria Avenue, and this was...
That's what I'm about to talk about. John, you and I are going to reminisce and then look into the future.
There's a lot of people here.
Actually, yes.
There's a lot of people.
Doing what? I'm not quite sure.
Well, that's
a question.
Well, that's an issue in this city, right?
Absolutely it is. So through the lights and then just down a little bit to Mr. Habib's facade.
Right. Right here.
Yep, just up here.
Okay.
Beautiful, iconic building. I am so pleased that he did not tear this down. I know he's having health issues, and he just wasn't, I think, capitalized enough to be able to pull off what he wanted to pull off, but he had the right idea.
It says it's for sale now.
Well, yes, he's not well, and so he's disposing of the assets. This in Fort William Collegiate?
Ah.
So it's all for sale.
Okay.
But as we look at this facade, I don't know if you want to get a picture of it.
We can get
with the camera. Can you
swing
the camera around?
Sure, Shane. Yeah, you just run the whole show.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. All right, I'll add that later to the...
Yes, this is a beautiful facade.
It really is.
It is actually, from one perspective...
It's, you know what it is? It is, I like your term, it is iconic.
Yes, and it's a mirror of the past. My grandfather and father had their office. He's a food broker in the Cuthbertson building, just over our left shoulders behind us.
Okay.
My grandfather was a shareholder in the Royal Edward Arms Hotel.
Nice.
When it was one of the finest hotels in Middle Canada.
It really was. Now
those days are gone.
Yeah, but that's a sign of the times, though,
it's
right?
It's a sign of the times. But I want to show you what the possibility is for the future. When I look through the front door that's now got gates on it with a lock, when I look in there, I see the possibility, and I get this idea from northern France, which is a cold climate. You go to the city of Arras. I went to Vimy Ridge a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Arras is the first major city south of Vimy Ridge.
Okay.
They have a piazza, or a town square, if you will, surrounded by buildings that cuts off the wind, that allows people in the shoulder seasons and in the summer to sit with restaurants on the ground floor, office space up top.
So you want to turn this into a cultural space with...
I see a real future if Thunder Bay manages its finances properly, if it stops growth in the suburbs, in the semi-rural areas, by implementing development charges that tells...
But we're not building restaurants and
no, we're not.
Little villages.
Here's the thing.
We're building houses out there.
We need to stop that.
Stop building houses?
We need to stop building houses out there. We need to start building downtown. So what I would do is I would assemble a parcel of land, a big parcel of land, as a city.
Okay.
Quietly build up a big enough parcel of land to say to a developer, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sell you this land at cost. Amazing place for you to build shops, restaurants, hotels, and a piazza.
That's okay, but a developer is going to want his money back.
And homes.
Oh,
because you're not going to be able to build cheaply out in the rural areas.
We're running out of space out there, that's for sure.
Well, no, we got tons of space out there.
But listen, we just drove past probably a dozen empty spaces.
Yeah, that's what needs to be changed, John.
But are they empty because
the economy sucks,
or is it because of what's happening with social issues down here?
Social issues is huge. It's a huge issue. Let's talk about that, because I don't want to end on a glum note, but
every note you've had has been a glum note. I'm waiting for something you're going to inspire me with happy stuff. Give me something happy.
This was going to be a fantastic downtown, a piazza away from the coldest lake on the planet, where people can actually sit outdoors in the open shoulder.
And I remember when Mr. Habib had that plan to close that section of the road and have that parkway. It was beautiful.
That is the future. That is the bright future.
So that's one thing that you want to get on.
That's one thing.
But that's like 20 years away.
That's right.
It's too far.
No.
We need stuff now.
No, John. What we need is somebody to manage the books, manage the people, to get our finances under control. We have $220 million in debt, record debt for the city of Thunder Bay. Between tax-supported and rate-supported projects, we pay every single year $13 million in interest that could be going towards roads. This town needs somebody who's going to be coming in, making the civil service more accountable, and make sure that our roads look good, and make sure that our taxes at least don't increase above the rate of inflation.
Let me ask you this question. I wanted to touch on it. It feels like forever ago. But one of my pet peeves with council in the last couple of months is...
You have pet peeves too? I thought it was all sunshine and roses.
It's all on the website. Just go to our website and read about it. One of the things that's been bugging me a lot about council is that we've been spending money that wasn't budgeted for. And a lot of that has come because it's an election year.
Yeah. And
somebody needs to make it onto that media that you don't think is doing a good enough job. But one of the things that bugs me is that city administration, who in my opinion is filled with a lot of really smart people that know things, city administration is the ones that have said, we don't think you should do this, and council sits around the table and says, yep, we're going to do it anyway. And that's happened a lot in the last couple of months, and it's happened a lot over this term. Well, what is your 2 cents, your faith in city administration, and how do you think as mayor that relationship between you and them would be?
Well,
because you're a little bit of a, disturber.
No,
are you gonna...
I think I'm aligned perfectly with City Hall administration. They say that, folks, we should not be drawing down any further on our reserves.
They've been saying that for a long time.
Norm Gale says they are risky. We've drawn down on them so much, some of it borrowed money, that it's now risky to continue to continue to.
What do you say about the argument that it came up again last night or this week at council? What do you say about the argument about when organizations go to council and ask for $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, and councillors make the argument, come on, it's just a tiny little piece of our budget, we'll be fine. What do you think about that?
I think it shows a lack of discipline. I think it shows political pandering to special interest groups.
That's a pretty strong charge.
Take your advice from your administration who said, don't do this. This is really a social issue. The Social Services Administration Board's the proper entity to deal with this. That was absolutely the correct answer. I agree with administration.
I think a lot of people do, and I just think that sometimes we get into this mode where we want to be everybody's friend, and we only want to do that every 4 years.
That's been the big problem with City Council. They cannot say no. You need somebody who's prepared to say, listen, this is the big picture. I've described what's happened to the high schools and to the industrial base. Somebody's got to finally recognize that it isn't 1972 and we're going through tough times. I want to be the mayor because if we don't get our finances squared and we lose the Bombardier plant and 1,000 jobs and the tax base that results from that, we are in big trouble. I admit to being a cautious guy, but I think all the evidence is there that this is a time for caution and modest proposals.
Yeah.
Not for grandiose proposals.
This valuable points. So Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
If you win, when you win, well, let's say when you win.
Yeah.
How are you going to ensure that your first day, your first council meeting, what's going to be your process in trying to get everybody around that table on the same page? How are you going to be the leader of this group? Because as mayor, that's what your job is.
Well,
you got to not only represent us, but you have to represent that council. What your very first meeting? What kind of mood are you going to set? How are you going to get them to understand or get them on board with your plan?
Well, my plan is to strike while the iron's hot.
Okay.
I will, if elected, at the first meeting, be introducing a resolution to reduce the size of city council from 13
on
to 9.
On the first meeting, you're going to do that?
Absolutely. You cannot dissipate your mandate.
That's right.
You have to go when the iron's hot. If I've defeated Ian Angus, Frank Poulia, and Bill Morrow, that is a strong signal that people want change.
Right.
You have to set the signal right from the get-go.
What? Give me two things in the last 4 years that you think council has done a good job of.
Oh.
Two things.
Oh, I believe that the city has done a pretty good job of trying to create right relations with First Nations.
Excellent point.
I think that they have gone over...
Not there yet.
No.
They're getting there, though.
Well, here's the thing about that. Racism is latent in the community.
Right.
There always are racists. But it's not something... It's been elevated. And I think that people are upset more with social dysfunction. And they see that it's with a particular group of people. Mm-hmm. People are not, in my view, in the broad scope of things, inherently racist, but they sure hate what they see on the streets. And that's what has to be fixed. That's why policing has to change. We've got to have more people work in the reallocation. We haven't talked about policing. But we have to bring the social dysfunction under control. That's why I was really disappointed, for example, that Don Rusnak, the MP for Thunder Bay Atikokan, who is the parliamentary secretary to the Minister of Indigenous Affairs, resigned from that position. He was my great hope that he was going to be able to do for Thunder Bay what the federal government and the provincial government did for Saskatoon 20 years ago. Thunder Bay is in the midst of receiving the biggest movement of people in Ontario in the last 50 years.
Right.
We heard last Christmas some chiefs from the far north saying half of some of our communities are living in Thunder Bay now. So they voted with their feet often because the terrible conditions where they were coming from came here, and they came with nothing.
Yeah.
And this is why we need the federal government and the provincial government to help us, because the honest thing is we don't have the tax horsepower to be able to do it on our own. This is where we need real help. And I was hoping that Mr. Rusnak and Patty Haidu were going to say Thunder Bay is one of those special cases. We are just the tipping point in the whole country for people making this mass movement.
It's just the beginning.
Just the beginning. I have great confidence. End on an up note on that. We're at the beginning of the beginning. I say 3 generations. It's all going to be fine, folks. We're going to do well.
It's a long time.
It's a long. I will tell you, I started 4 years ago with a speaker series through my church, Trinity United. Right relations with First Nations. I brought in Lakehead University anthropologist, historian, a professor from the University of Western Ontario talking about why we even have treaties. It was a fascinating answer. In Southern Ontario, the Brits were worried that the Algonquins were so strong they were going to kick them off the continent. It was the Brits who went to the First Nations and said, let's make a treaty. In their immense generosity, the First Nations said, we agree. We will agree to share the land. That's the thing that should inform every decision we make. There was an agreement to share the land.
Right.
And we've been less than honest brokers over time. So, 3 generations, in my view, helping the people who've arrived here first, the first immigrants, if you will, in the urban setting.
Right.
3 generations, we're going to be fine, John.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're right. This has been fascinating.
Lots to learn.
My head is like... listen, I wish you the best of luck. If I can say one thing about you and what I've known about you for a long time is that you're very passionate about this, and that is, I think, something that we need. And we need to get excited about this stuff. But the bigger thing to me is We need to get people paying attention, and that's what this was designed to do, and that's what
John,
this was for.
Have folks read the last little bit. I will pay attention.
Oh, pay attention. Pay attention. I thought you were going to use the chart again.
No, forget the chart for now. I will pay attention.
Listen, you had a great run on the last one, and I think that you got a lot of people's attention. You ask a lot of questions, and I think you're doing great.
Hey, thank you. Listen, what do I owe you, or where do I send the bill?
Company's paying. Look good. Shane, get out of my car. I'm late now for the next one.
Sorry. See ya.
And don't bug any city workers on the way out of the plant.
But I got to tell you, you should never stop where the guy gets out in the puddle.
Well, I'll put my coat down.
Bad form.
Get it. I'm not doing it for a living. Get out of here. Thanks, Shane. See you later.